Okay, I think we have everybody in from our waiting room, so we're ready to get started. Welcome everybody to tonight's district-wide Interclub, and of course, happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you who may be celebrating. It's wonderful to see so many new faces and returning Kiwanians here on Zoom with us, and I believe we also have a few who might be here from outside the district, so welcome to you all. This is the 14th session in our virtual workshop series of learning opportunities, and we hope you are enjoying them so far and that you will encourage others in your club to join us every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. If any of your members are not receiving our emails in the promotion about our workshops, please make sure you send us an email at education@newenglandkiwanis.org. We'll post that email address in the chat, and we'll take a look to make sure you're subscribed to our emails. And also, if you have folks in your club who'd like to sign up, we'll drop in a link to the registration form for this month's workshops. We have 2 left in the month of March, and then we'll start getting ready to promote our April sessions. A reminder that all of our workshops actually do count as interclubs on your monthly secretary's reports. So if your club has 20 or fewer members and you have 2 people at any of our workshops, including tonight, or if you have 21 to 30 members and you have 3 members here tonight, or if your club has 31 or more members and you have 4 members here tonight, this counts as an actual interclub. And if you have enough members, you can record an interclub with each individual club that is here in attendance. So to help everyone determine the number of interclubs that they can report, if you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat and just drop your name and the club that you represent so that folks who are here can keep attendance for how many interclubs they can report. David Griffin, who's the newest member of our education committee, is serving as our interclub liaison, and he is going to take attendance each week during the workshops. So if you don't have a chance to drop the names down or save the chat, you'll be able to take a look at our Google Drive, and we will have a list posted of the clubs that were in attendance. Before we start tonight, a couple of housekeeping points. Please mute yourself when we're here in the large group presentations in the main room to ensure that we have an uninterrupted presentation. If you are new to Zoom, the mute button is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. And if you see a line through that microphone that indicates that you are muted, you can click or tap it to put yourself on mute. When you are in the breakout rooms, you can keep yourself unmuted so you can have a good conversation, or if you're called on to speak when we're back in the main room, you can also unmute yourself at that time. We invite you to keep your camera on if you feel comfortable doing so. It's nice to see everyone's faces, especially when we are presenting an online interclub, as if we're all able to meet in person. Tonight's presentation and session will be about 1 hour, and we are not live streaming to Facebook tonight because a good chunk of tonight's session will be in breakout rooms, but we will be posting a recording on our district YouTube channel in the next few days. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. Tonight's session, as you know, is our district-wide interclub, and we did not want our fellow Kiwanians to miss out on the fun and networking of doing in-person interclubs. So we planned this virtual session to connect you with Kiwanians from all across New England and Bermuda. Tonight, you'll get the chance to learn about what interclubs are, and then go into breakout rooms to talk with fellow Kiwanians about various topics and what your clubs have been up to. And then we'll return here to the breakout room to hear what everyone discussed. Tonight's workshop was planned by our membership growth and retention chairs, Robert Wiley and Daryl Sylvia. Let's give them a round of applause from wherever we are across the district. And they are going to be joined by a group of great facilitators who are going to help in our breakout rooms. So this is going to be a fun and engaging night, so I'm not going to delay any further. I will now pass things over to your membership growth and retention chairs, Bob and Daryl.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to see so many people here tonight, a very good crowd. And I see many people are very festive with the St. Patrick's Day too. So that's great. Good enthusiasm. And I think that we're headed for a good night here tonight. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be doing. And that is the first thing is that George Delisle will be up, and he's going to talk about what interclubbing really is all about with Kiwanis, and talk about some nice experiences that he has had through the pandemic and with the Interclub. And then we're going to get into breakout sessions that everybody decided which ones they wanted to be part of. And so we've done the best that we could in terms of trying to get you into those particular rooms. And they are the club meetings, membership, community service, public relations, and interfacing. And then after we get done with that, the breakout sessions, we will reconvene, and there'll be a brief presentation from each group about what the highlights were from each group. And hopefully we're all going to learn from this experience. And that'll be our night. And then you can go home and have your St. Patty's Day hot toddy or whatever it is that you like to enjoy for St. Patrick's Day. So with that, I just want to introduce now our speaker, George Delisle, and he is a former governor of our district, also past president for at least one, maybe two terms, I think. He's a member of two clubs, and he is currently the international trustee for Kiwanis. And most importantly, we're going to see him running for the international vice president come June. So with that, please a warm welcome for George.
Thank you, folks. I'm going to bore the hell out of you right now for a couple of minutes and tell you a little bit of history about interclubbing. We don't think about this in this day and age, but when Kiwanis was founded back in 1915, and when it went through its big growth period through the 1920s, well, there wasn't any television, was there? And there was barely radio. And even telephone service was not what it is today. The way that Kiwanis spread, and if you look at a map as to where clubs got planted, they were all on railroad lines. And that's the way Kiwanis initially spread, is the rail lines that went from city to city, especially here in New England, was the way new Kiwanis clubs were initially planted. Interclubbing was a big part of Kiwanis even from those early days. And it was not unusual for a group of, dare I say it, men to get on the train and go to the next town and have an interclub with their fellow Kiwanians in the next city. Now, back in those days, like I said, it was all men, and it was mostly business. It was all entirely business people. And this gave them an opportunity to do a few things. It allowed them to talk shop, to talk business, to talk about their mutual interests and the way their businesses were developing, and to share ideas and to share fellowship. Moving along, our modes of communication and our modes of transportation especially started to change, especially after the First World War, the Second World War. After the Second World War, we started building cars and highways like there's no tomorrow.
Get on it. Don't touch it, sweetheart. What'd you do? Did you touch it?
Terry, could you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Okay. We started communicating in different ways, and we started especially traveling in different ways. The rails kind of went away, but the new highways made it possible to travel in between towns and communities and cities fairly cheaply and fairly quickly. So interclubbing kind of changed. It was no longer dependent on railroad schedules. It was, and meetings started to change too, because in that era, you started to see Kiwanis clubs that didn't necessarily meet in the center of cities with lunchtime meetings. You started to see more and more clubs getting built that were meeting in the evening, sometimes in the morning. But the necessity for interclubbing never went away. The real need for interclubbing, especially in the modern era of Kiwanis, is to let us share ideas, to let us see how things are done a little bit differently in our different communities. Now, I'm out here in Western Massachusetts in Division 17, and I tell you the truth, I didn't do a lot of interclubbing personally until the first time I became a lieutenant governor back in 2000, a long time ago. And as a lieutenant governor, as anyone in this meeting who's ever been a lieutenant governor, I hope knows, you get the opportunity to see Kiwanis done in different communities and in a lot of different ways. We try to accomplish the same goals. We better our communities. We work for our kids. We help underprivileged children. We help privileged or normally privileged children to develop their leadership skills and to develop a sense of belonging to the community and a sense of giving back. But every town, every city, every Kiwanis club does those things in slightly different ways. Now, this pandemic came along and really, really disrupted the beat, the tenor, if you will, of our Kiwanis club meetings. It made it impossible for many of our clubs for a time, and for many of our clubs right now, it made it really impossible or really inconvenient for us to try to meet in person. The restaurants where we met closed, the community centers where we met weren't available to us, so we had to find other ways to do this. Zoom, which I dare say 15 months ago, most of the people on this meeting never heard of Zoom. Am I right? Zoom, what's a Zoom? Zoom is when you get in your car and you push down the gas pedal, you Zoom, right? Okay. Zoom and other electronic meeting platforms have become the lifeblood of Kiwanis. I dare say most of our clubs are meeting on Zoom or similar platform at this point. But the beauty of Zoom is that it is not limited by distance. It is limited only by the availability of a fast internet connection. So in terms of interclubbing, in terms of opening up the interclub possibilities, Zoom has been a godsend. In the Westfield Kiwanis Club last year, we had, I believe, 2 widespread, everybody welcome Zoom interclub meetings. And we advertised these, we promoted them in advance. We put material out on Facebook on some of the Kiwanis international sites, and we invited Kiwanians from anywhere to make a reservation. We didn't just leave an open Zoom meeting. We required people to ask for an invitation. But boy, did they ask for invitations. I think one of our meetings, we were up around 90. We had Kiwanians from the West Coast. We had Kiwanians from Middle America. We had Kiwanians from Florida and the Caribbean and Canada and just about everywhere you can imagine that was English speaking. We had an enormously successful, 2 actually enormously successful interclub meetings. One of the things that we did for those meetings is we asked people, as we're doing tonight, we asked everyone to register in the chat by providing us with their full name, the name of their Kiwanis club, and the name of the city and state where they meet. Now that was important. The reason it was important, it was at the conclusion of the meeting, we were able to save that chat record, make a spreadsheet out of it, and distribute that to everyone who had registered with their email address. So all of those 90 odd respondents, those participants, got the information that they needed to turn into their Kiwanis Club secretary to put down a legitimate interclub opportunity. I think those were mostly those were reported all over the place. The only club that didn't get an interclub out of that was Westfield, because of course, as the host club, you don't get to claim the interclub. It was amazingly fun, and the only bad part about it is that there were so many opportunities, so many participants, that we could only give each person a couple of, maybe a minute to identify themselves and tell us a little bit about their club. What I would recommend, if you consider doing something of that nature, is put a ceiling on the number of registrations. I'd say about 60 tops is really all you can reasonably handle, and give people an opportunity to say something about what their clubs are and how they serve their communities. Aside from that, though, it's a wonderful chance to meet people. We had a lot of folks from Jamaica We had a couple of clubs from Jamaica, as well as our friends from Bermuda, of course. And getting a little sample of that Caribbean culture. They do things different than we do. They have they have enormous respect for Kiwanis titles. You know, we say, yeah, I'm a lieutenant governor, big deal. They don't do that in Jamaica. Jamaica, the lieutenant governor is a big deal and is treated as such. And it's kind of fun to see that. Gina and I, in our travels as my travels as a Kiwanis International trustee, have had the opportunity to visit some interesting places, including the Philippines last year. And it is vastly different. Kiwanis is done in a very different way in the Philippines than it is in the United States. You're probably not going to get a lot of Filipino Kiwanians logging into your Interclub because their time is 12 hours off from us. So, you know, 7 o'clock in the evening here is 7 o'clock in the morning there, and they're off to work. So it's a little tough. But I just saw a question come up, something, how is the distance used in the calculation? It is not. When you report your interclubs on a Zoom call or on an electronic interclub, you should be entering 0 for the mileage. Nobody's traveling, so that does not factor into your interclub claim. Other than that, report it as you would any other interclub. You report the names of the clubs, you report the number of your members that were present at the interclub, and everything is fine from there. Interclubbing in the 21st century remains a way to be exposed to the way Kiwanis is done in other communities, be those communities in New England or in the far reaches of the United States and Canada or elsewhere in the world. It's really a learning experience. It is a cultural experience, and it's something I have always deeply enjoyed, and I continue to enjoy. And I highly recommend it to all of you. There's no reason that any club that's meeting on Zoom can't do a widespread interclub, either within New England or elsewhere. I presume that my time is probably running out here. Elise hasn't actually slapped me on the wrist yet, but she's going to. So let me turn it back over to the organizers, and I'll see you in the chat room.
Okay, thank you very much, George. Very informational. And as George mentioned, and I know that he had a couple of the international interclubs and that were very successful. And so those are just some thoughts for you people, and certainly within your division and also within the district are good ideas as well. Okay, so now we're going to go to this part of the program here where we're going to go to the breakout sessions. And we have 5 rooms. And before we get into that, I do want to take just 1 minute here and thank Elise for all the work that she's done with this, because thinking about putting together over 60 people and putting them in 5 different rooms, it's just a monumental task. And she's had to do some readjusting on the fly here, obviously, because some people didn't show up or what have you. So I know she's done an outstanding job. So thank you very much, Elise. So the breakout sessions, the first room is the club meetings, and Daryl, he will be the moderator or the facilitator for that one. Membership, that will be myself. The community service will be Sylvia. Public relations is Betty Parker. And the interfacing with other Kiwanis clubs, including the SLPs, that will be George. So we'll be the facilitators. And when we get into the breakout rooms, you'll see the questions that we will go through, and they're up there on the screen right now. You don't really need to write them down because all of the facilitators have all of the questions. And there's a topic, and then there's subtopics, and we'll have about 15 minutes to go through these things, and anything else relative to that particular topic that you want to get into, and then we'll get back to our rooms, back to the general room, and we'll have about 2 or 3 minutes for each group to present the highlights of what you talked about in your breakout sessions. So we are all set. Whenever Elise puts us into our rooms, good luck, and we'll see you all later. Everybody's pretty much back. I know that on the membership side, we had a great session. We had a lot of good discussions. And so what we're going to do now, as I mentioned, is we got probably about 10 minutes left. So what we're going to do is have each group take about 2 minutes, and then that'll bring us right up to closing time. So if we have 2 minutes for each group to kind of recap what they discussed and highlight some things that maybe the other groups might be able to use, I think that would be great. So we'll start out. The first one is the club meetings. So whoever is going to be the presenter for that.
Cheryl took notes on that.
Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was awesome. I think it's always great to be able to share ideas about club meetings. And we learned that, the best way to start a meeting is with, some kind of a ceremony, some kind of an opening, and then go through your agenda and have fundraisers. Well, I can hardly read my fundraisers and do the reports and maybe introduce a new member if you have one, talk about membership. And the big thing is to have a speaker, at least, every other meeting or every meeting, which is something I know that our club is going to try to start. They also discussed about SLP members coming in. The advisors should be members, and what you actually should pay if you have a speaker, if you have an SLP member. And with everybody trying to get back to normalcy, are we going to start going and having face-to-face meetings? And a lot of our club members already have that going on. I know Pittsfield is starting in next month. And one idea that really I thought was very interesting was the hybrid meeting. If you have a restaurant or wherever you meet, if they have Wi-Fi acceptability, then the people who don't feel comfortable coming to a face-to-face meeting can join the meeting on a computer, on a Wi-Fi, on a Zoom. Just, all those little things that will make a meeting more fun, more interesting. If you have a speaker, invite friends to come and enjoy the speaker. Maybe you'll get another member out of it. Like I said, it was really, I took down a lot of notes of things that I'd like to try at the new meetings. Have a training meeting, which I thought was awesome. I've never done that. I've never had one done the whole time I was in Kiwanis. So I think that's important to take that into consideration. And because we can all learn a little bit more about Kiwanis along with our new members. And that, you can have an orientation book too, put that together and maybe make copies and hand it out to new members or even old members. I thought,
Great.
good.
Thank you, Cheryl. Nice
You're
job
welcome.
by that
Thank you.
group. Next up, membership, and that would be Pat Stevens presenting.
Okay, so ours is a membership. Our first question was potential members and how to attract them to your clubs. One was in regards to Zoom meetings. The other one was the one that I loved from the Chelsea Club is doing a virtual wine tasting one to attract your members. You've got them there. Hello. Projects to help at different events. Encourage them to come help at a project that your club is doing. You should get membership from maybe from school, from the parents, from the kids. previous LSLP members that are key clubs or Circle K clubbers that have graduated or whatever, you get membership from them. The other question was, one of ours was training orientation, and we suggested, a PowerPoint presentation for education. It's important to do that for each of your new members, and appoint 1 or 2 members to kind of guide that new member for the first year of their membership. It can be the sponsor and another person from that club to help out. The third and fourth one's kind of about the same, is retention of members and membership in pandemic. It says keep your members happy, busy, active with projects in the club, contact with previous members that you haven't seen for a while on a one-to-one contact. Try to mix up your meetings, your adjustment, your schedules. Like if you meet at noontime, maybe do an evening meeting, or do like if maybe one of your meetings a month doing the evening versus the day, to accommodate the people that can't make them at a noon or breakfast meeting or early evening meeting, like hybrid meetings. One of my clubs in my district division that I have, they do a regular club meeting at their club, but they also have a Zoom meeting with that, so people can be on Zoom at the meeting even though they're not there in face to face. And that's another thing, is stimulate the members to join during the pandemic, is basically that Zoom meeting. It's important. Keep them active and informed of what's going on.
Great, Pat. Thank you. Next up is the community service, and who's presenting that one, Sylvia?
I guess Mike and Teresa, I believe is her name. She was
Yes,
taking
Terry.
notes.
Terry, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mike, you're very welcome. Raymond from Bermuda said that he partners with the Salvation Army, and they've been at Christmas time, and they've been ringing the bell and helping the Salvation Army with different various tasks. And Brian Morrison, who's Division 13, he is a police officer, and they partner with the police department and Macy's for Safety Day, and they hand out safety items, and they also partner with the Salvation Army. And also they had a member, all this got them to have somebody joined the club. They also help veterans and homeless veterans. And they do the food pantry every Friday and Saturday, and they make sure all the kids have food. And during the pandemic, he made safety videos. Brian made safety videos. Dave from Roxbury stated that he helps nursing homes and food pantries and the YMCA. And although they may not be considered partners, but he's also stated that the Kiwanis Foundation has up to $1,000 that they could give for a new project if they have funds available. So if you have a new project you should contact Dave from Roxbury and from the foundation, and he can give you more information. Chelsea partners with the school department. They had bonds that were purchased for their club, and so they had to spend some of their money, and they spent up to $1,000 for 6 months. They gave to United Way, Salvation Army, just to name a few. And their signature project is a field day that they help with youth with a warm up, and it's also, they said it's also a fundraiser that they help fund their scholarship. So that's a good thing. And during the holidays, Christmas, they do shoebox before the holidays, and they give the shoebox with a gift card and other items to the social workers who pass them out for the holidays. And Hooksett is active during the pandemic. They've just been they helped the daycare workers and the police department, the fire and EMS. They filled little plastic snack bags that had little snacks snacks and water, and they did about 100 bags for the National Guard and volunteers also. They went, this was over and above the fire and EMS and police, and they gave the kids they gave the kids a gift card, and for the schools, for 3 of the schools in Hooksett. And they did bags for teachers and Key Clubs, and the Key Club helped make cards for their little bags. And the Key Club also operates a pantry for the kids in the school, and during the pandemic has gotten empty. So they are going to be helping Key Club, the Key Club pantry, and they're going to be filling that. And the Orono Old Town Kiwanis is going to be has been assisting with the vaccine for our local hospital. And then we wear our Kiwanis, or they wear, I haven't done it, their Kiwanis key, to hold their key holders. And during the holiday, we usually do, we partner with the VFW, but because we were unable to, have our party this year, but we still purchased gifts, gave them to the teachers to deliver, wrap, and all that. Let's see, they did some helped with coats for kids, which was a good thing. And they did they have the Key Club with various projects that they were doing. Taking items to the school. We have helped with the library, giving money to help with for project. And let's see, we've given we helped with the Ronald McDonald's house, the Sarah's house, which is a house for the for people with cancer. We are working on helping the Little League, as long as they have the program. Let's see, and we also did Word for Thirds. We provided every third grader in like 5 different schools in the Old Town, Orono, Milford, VZ, with dictionaries. So that was certainly a big help for them, especially, we all know how computers don't always work. So that was a big
Excuse
help.
me, I hate to cut you off, but we're almost over
Okay,
time
just one
here.
more.
And-
One
okay,
more.
okay,
That's
okay.
Hyannis. They're starting a fundraiser to help her daughter with her new bakery, and they're selling items for her. This is Hyannis, and she is now a new Kiwanian.
Great.
And
It's amazing all of the information and all of the customers or community service that we're able to do even with this pandemic. That's a testament to all of the wonderful things that our clubs are doing. We have two more to present, and before I do that, though, I do want to ask our governor-elect Gala if she has anything to say, and then I'll have Governor Dennis if he'd like to.
Sure. I just wanted to thank you all for coming tonight. It's great to see all your beautiful faces on St. Patrick's Day, and so nice to get to Interclub as a large group. It's almost like we're at a mini convention, right?
Absolutely.
Almost. But it's great to see all of you. I appreciate all your feedback and your talents and your passions and everything that you do every day. And without Kiwanis, without all of you, we wouldn't have Kiwanis and all the magic that we create. So thank you all for everything that you do every day.
Thank you, Gala. Dennis, Governor Dennis, are you there?
Yes, I am. I appreciate all the Kiwanis spirit that's been shown over the past months, given this pandemic that we're in, and that now are seeing the other side of it slowly as we start to reopen everything. In our club, half of our members now have gotten their shots. So we're going forward. See
Thank you.
everybody in August.
Thank you, Governor Dennis. Okay, so now with the last two that we have to present, we really are short on time. So if we could get you to do like about a minute or two at the top so that we can just hear the highlights of what you guys discussed, that would be great. So Betty's public relation, who would that be, Betty?
We have Brenda Stevenson.
Okay, Brenda.
All right, so hi everyone. First of all, a headline is there is a lot of resources available from Kiwanis International. The takeaway for me was that I need to take time to explore what's available because I'm hearing that we don't, as individual clubs, have to try and think about reinventing the wheel. We can just use some work that has been engineered already for us. The majority of our discussion on public relations was spent talking about active electronic media, specifically websites, Facebook, Instagram. Joe from Chelsea is a gem that I learned about. He saw a need, took initiative and said, I've got some tech skills. And I think if, our club, we're able to enhance our website and integrate with Facebook, we could increase exposure in the community, and that's exactly what happened. Joe talked about resources at Kiwanis International that helped him move away, and their club move away from Portal Buzz to the WordPress platform, and they completely engineered their site. I looked at it while we were talking, so I would encourage everyone to check out the Chelsea Kiwanis International website and Facebook site. Everything is linked, and that's a key. We know we have limited time, but if we can maximize all of the touch points to be in different social medias, I think that would be great. And the last tidbit we kind of learned about was from Adam from Springfield, who has been in the recording music industry, has a recording studio in his own home. He gave us some tips about outreaching to newspapers and local radio, and the key being to just provide them with a pre-made news clip or media spot so that they could just run with that. And Adam has helped some other clubs record public service announcements for radios, and he did say that he would be willing to help any other clubs with that as well. So we had a gem, just tons of resources. So thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and our last one is the interfacing with Kiwanis clubs and SLPs. And George, I did see your thing here in chat, but now there's so many things in chat. Oh, Pat Swan, there it is.
That's it.
I guess she's gonna present.
Okay, good evening and greetings from Bermuda, everyone. As you know, with the COVID, with the SLPs, due to the COVID, some of them are not able to get together at all. However, some of them were helping the Salvation Army with the distribution over Christmas. Some key clubs can meet and some cannot meet. Janet said her key club was meeting via Zoom, and they had an idea of a project about developing a community garden, which meets the COVID requirements, and hopefully to grow the plants for the food pantry. Glenn went through his club to get a sponsor for a builders club, which hope will be coming online soon. And Sharon in Pittsfield said they don't have a key club in the area. However, George Delisle, our hopefully international vice president, has offered to help them when they do are able to get someone online. Rosemary Curtis of Arundel, Maine. She said they usually are very active. However, not active at this time. And they're doing Zoom meetings about the first and third Tuesday a month. That's for her club meetings. And David Burgess, because of the restructuring of the schools in Bermuda, at this time, the key clubs have been put on hold, as well as due to the COVID, the children are unable to meet. And that's for the Hamilton and the St. George's clubs. And he said they're hoping to do a first responders Kiwanis club. And the Somerset club, the Hamilton Kiwanians are trying to start up again.
Thank you. Very good. That's nice.
Very good. Thank you, Pat.
Betsy,
Oh,
Betsy has said that they had charted a key club 2 weeks ago, and her club meets every Friday, and they're hoping to have the key clubbers attend the installation via Zoom. And as you know, it's been very difficult for all the SLPs to meet because of COVID, and for them to really be active and do the service that, you know, we all want to do with them. That's a synopsis.
okay. Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you.
I think that we're about done. I just want to make a point here that I saw a high of 58 people on the call today, and we are almost 10 minutes overtime here, but we still have 53 people on the call. So I appreciate that. And with that, I thank everybody for participating, and I'm going to turn it back over to Brian.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bob. And thank you to all of tonight's presenters and facilitators. I hope you all had a great time in the breakout rooms. And let's give everybody a round of applause who worked to make tonight happen, especially our membership team and our outstanding facilitators. So we're going to wrap up with a couple of concluding remarks. And please remember that if you have not introduced yourself in the chat, to please do so we can take an accurate attendance this evening. We're going to talk about the last two workshop sessions that we have for this month. Elise is going to pull up our schedule of upcoming sessions. So we have two more workshops for you this month. Next week, we have District Parliamentarian David Weiskel presenting Holding a Successful Annual Meeting. And he's going to talk all about the nuts and bolts and give you practical information about what should happen in your club's annual meeting. And just a reminder that per each of our club's bylaws, annual meetings must be held before May 15th of each year, and that includes your club elections. So come back next week to learn a lot more about what happens during an annual meeting. And then the following week, we wrap up March with a session on getting to know your district governor, Dennis Murphy, who you heard from just a few minutes ago. Dennis and Gayla are going to sit down and talk about Dennis's background, his goals for this year, his Kiwanis service, and much more. So we'll have that as well as some time for Q&A next Wednesday, March 31st at 7 p.m. Please remember to take advantage of all these free education workshops and to also encourage your fellow club members to do the same. We share information about them every week here, but you can also learn more on our district Facebook page and Facebook group, and at the registration link, which Elise will drop in the chat. We have a playlist going on YouTube where you can go back and watch any of the sessions that we've recorded so far. And if you have fellow members who weren't able to attend us live and tended to join us live, they can do the same on YouTube. We've been also creating a folder in Google Drive of resources, presentations, and other tools from our past workshops. So if you take a look at the confirmation email you received today, you'll see a link at the bottom that will take you to the virtual workshop materials. And that's where you can download anything we've presented so far, as well as attendance lists of the clubs that have attended each week, so you can report interclubs to your club secretary. Once again, if you are not receiving emails from the district about these workshops, please check your promotions or spam folder, or you can send us an email at education@newenglandkiwanis.org, and we will take a look. We also will be announcing our April workshops in the next week or so, so you want to make sure that you are subscribed to those emails. If you haven't heard, the district has several new membership initiatives to support clubs in recruiting and retaining members. And Elise is going to drop a chat to that as well. We're giving you a lot of links today. To the district website where you can learn more about these new initiatives. We're also working on a future workshop which will walk through all the details of these new programs. But in the meantime, visit newenglandkiwanis.org or click on the link in the chat and scroll down on the page and you'll find lots of information about new initiatives from New England and Bermuda District. I would like to thank our District Education Committee members who work tirelessly behind the scenes to help make these sessions possible. That includes Elise DeNorfia, Judy Barrett, and David Griffin. I hope you'll all join me in a big round of applause for them. It takes a lot of people to make these happen, and we really appreciate all of their help in stepping up to support the District Education Committee. With that, another big thank you to our presenters tonight and to each of you for joining us. We hope you leave tonight with a new idea or some inspiration to go back and do great things in your communities. So thank you for joining us. And I want to make sure that you all join us again next week for holding a successful annual meeting. And in the meantime, I hope you all stay safe, be well, and thank you all for being Kiwanis.